Next, let's start working on the toolbar that we're going to put at the bottom. That's going to allow users to type messages, which would be quite a good thing to have in a chat app. So let's just start by creating a new file, and we can call it toolbar. And then in here, let's just create our basic struct, toolbar, that'll be a view. At the top, let's import SwiftUI, and then let's just get a little preview up as well. So we can just copy this from down here and call toolbar, and of course it will give us a warning. We need to define our body, so inside the body, let's just put a little text element for now. There we go. Okay, so we're ready to go. Let's start designing the UI for the actual text field itself. Text field, and for the placeholder we can just put message, text. I'm going to create a state up here, so create a new state property, call it var typing message, and we can just set that equal to quotes for now. So inside this binding, $, typing message, and then let's just set an accent color as well, and we can just set that to color.light green. And that's just for the caret on the text field. Let's just get rid of this. So it's looking pretty basic, but as you can see the caret's appearing as we expect. Let's just start adding a couple more buttons onto the UI. So let's just create an H stack up here. Spacing 18, no 80. And then just put the text field in that. And this H stack is going to contain all of the UI, so all of the buttons and all that stuff as well. So let's just start defining a couple of buttons. Icon style plus, that'll be the plus button, and this icon style thing comes from this helper file that I included in the first tutorial, so you can go and download that there if you missed it. Then here we're not actually going to handle any of the actions, we're just going to print plus tapped. Let's do our other buttons as well. So if typing message dot is empty, else. So if the typing message is empty, the user's not actually typed anything, then we want it to show the camera button. Icon style, it's as simple as just doing camera. And then let's paste it down here. And if they have typed a message, then we want the camera button to change to a send button. Now a lot of the icons are white, so we're not actually seeing them due to the white background. All we need to do is just come down here, set our background to color.mid-grey. Cool. And then while we're at it as well, let's just set a frame. So the min height is going to be CG float, and we'll do 35. Looking a lot better already. And you can see where logic's working as expected. So as we type the message, the camera button changes to a send button. And then when we clear it, it goes back to camera. Right, so we're making great progress on the UI of this toolbar, but we just need to do some more work onto this text field. So we want a file button to show sort of on the text field, and to do that we're just going to define a new H stack and put the text field within this H stack. Down here we can just copy one of these buttons, paste it here, change that to file tapped, change the icon style to file. And then let's just set some padding here as well, padding for the top and the bottom, set that to 6, and then padding for the leading and trailing, you can set that to 12. And then next thing we want to do is just set a background colour for this as well, and also shape the background. So background is going to be a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of 15. And we can set a fill colour as well. So we can set the fill to colour dot light grey 1. If we type a particularly long message in, it doesn't go over multiple lines, it just sort of goes all in one line, which isn't what the WhatsApp app does. It sort of goes over, I can't remember how many lines it is, but several lines, and then it starts scrolling. Luckily SwiftUI makes it really easy for us to do this. So first thing we need to do on the text field is just set an axis. So set it as vertical, so that will mean that it expands vertically. And then we can just set a line limit on it, and this just takes in a range, so we'll set a limit of 4. As I'm typing this really long message, I'm now come to the end of my 4th line, and then you can see that scrolling begins at that point. You'll see as well that as we type, the text is black, and that's because this preview is actually in light mode. To get it in dark mode, it's actually pretty straightforward, so we just need to define preferred colour scheme here, set that as dark, and immediately it switches this simulator to dark mode, so when we start typing, the text is white. Let's put the toolbar on our main UI. So it's actually really straightforward to do this. All we need to do underneath the navigation view, let's create a new VStack and set the spacing as 0. Then just put the list inside of this VStack. Underneath the list, let's just call toolbar, and you can see it placed on the screen. From a UI perspective, this is all looking good when we run a simulator. So we're getting the keyboard popping up, we can type messages, but when we hit the send button, nothing happens. To simulate sending a message, what we'll do is create a new helper file. Create a file called chat helper. At the top, if we import combine, class, chat helper, and this will be an observable object. Basically what this will do is this will give us access to all the messages and allow us to add new messages. In a real world app, this would likely interact with some kind of service class, but we're not actually integrating a service, so it's just all going to be done locally. First thing we need to do is just define a property, did change, and this will be a pass-through subject. And then create a new publish property for real-time messages, and this will just be set to data source.messages. We're planning to read the messages from this class as well, and then we'll just create a new function called send message, and that'll be of type message. And then here, real-time messages dot append message, send an event as well, and that just allows everyone to update after the new message has been sent. We actually want to now use this chat help on a few different files. We could explicitly pass it between those files, but I think it's probably better just to take it in as an environment object. We can just go down here on the window group, pass in an environment object, that'll be chat helper. This allows us to share the model data throughout the app. You can just think of this as being like an observed object, but one we want to access in multiple views without explicitly passing it. Now this allows us to go back into our content view. We can just add a new environment object up here, var chat helper, and that'll be of type chat helper. And the last, rather than accessing the data source directly from this view, we can just call chat helper dot realtime messages. We can just copy this property, take it into the toolbar file, and then just place it up here. And then if we just define a new method here at the bottom of toolbar, func send message. Here we can just call our chat helper class dot send message, and we can just define a new message here. So the content will be typing message, the property that we've got up here. The date, let's just pass in the current date. User, let's just hardcode a user, data source dot second user. As read, false. Let's do a bit of cleanup. Typing message equals empty string, and that just resets the text field after we've hit send. To actually call this method, all we're going to do is go up to the send button and just change this action to send message. Right, so when the app's done running, you can then type a message, test, hit send, and if you scroll to the bottom, you can see the message has been appended. Obviously the behaviour we would want is after the user's typed a message, regardless of where they are on the scroll view, we would like to scroll right down to the bottom and dismiss the keyboard. All we need to do is jump back in our content view, and then let's wrap this list in a scroll view reader proxy in, and then just go down to the bottom of the list and wrap it. This allows us basically to control the scrolling of a list through code. In our case, it just lets us scroll down to the bottom of the list. First thing we need to do is just add an ID. That will just be message ID. And you'll see as well, Xcode's freaked out after we've added this environment object. So to get the preview working, you can just comment that out and just create a chat helper. Back to the scrolling. Let's create an on change. And what do we want to monitor the change of? our chat helper dot real-time messages. So when this changes, what do we want to do? We want to scroll to the last message, chat helper dot real-time messages dot last dot ID. When you run the app, it doesn't scroll to the bottom automatically like WhatsApp would. To fix that, we just need to add an on appear. Copy this line of code into here. Handling the keyboard dismissal is very simple. All we need to do is go down to the closing brace of this navigation view, put an on tap gesture when editing, true, and that just means that when the screen's tapped, dismiss the keyboard. Remember to just revert this property here, so we're referring to the environment object, and then hit run. Great, so you can see that when the app's appeared, it scrolled automatically down to the last message. But if we scroll up a little bit, and then type a message, then hit send, the keyboard's automatically dismissed and we'll scroll to the bottom so that we can see the message, and the time in the message is also correct.